the Affordable Healthcare Act was going to drastically change my business model? Could your business survive a 42% decrease in gross revenue overnight?
With 25 years in tech and cannabis, I've built and sold companies, raised capital, and learned what it takes to scale in a highly regulated industry. But if there's one thing I know, it's that navigating funding and networking is not easy.
They don't understand the timeline. Hey, just because I'm ready to raise money, you should be ready to give me a check now. No, it doesn't work that way.
If you're still chasing hype money, you're already behind. Today, it's all about smart funding. My guest, Dr. David Cunic, has seen million-dollar deals crumble due to politics, disasters, and rookie mistakes. But he's also turned these lessons into powerful strategies.
So one of the biggest mistakes is that the whole failure to plan is plan to fail. And what we hear is this: we'll ask people point blank, send me these items right now. And when we hear we don't know what that is, you need help.
He's cracked the code on raising real capital and mastered networking so well, investors are chasing him.
The very first thing is get a company email address. Secondly, get a one-page landing page. It can just say coming soon. Third, if you're not proud to be in your business, then don't do it, because you should be able to talk about it on LinkedIn.
Want to know why most founders bomb at cannabis conferences, or why skipping recon is costing you funding? Dr. David is about to drop absolute gold. Buckle up, you're getting insider gems you won't hear anywhere else.
My name is Dr. David Cunic. By trade, I'm actually a physical therapist. But for my career, I call myself a serial entrepreneur. And my latest company, that's actually been around since 2017, is called UCS Advisors, which stands for Use Common Sense. And for your cannabis lovers, use cannabis safely.
Ah,
nice
okay.
double entendre. So
I like that. So that's where the name came from. But wait a second, you started out as, well, not started out, but you were a physical
therapist, physical therapist. I actually used to own the #1 rated physical therapy facility in Morris County, New Jersey, which is one of the top 20 counties in America,
right,
for 8 years in a row.
That's amazing. And why did you leave? Why'd you give all that up then?
In a nutshell, the Affordable Healthcare Act was going to drastically change my business model. And let's just call a spade a spade. Could your business survive a 42% decrease in gross revenue overnight?
That'd be really difficult.
That is what the Affordable Healthcare Act was going to do to my business.
Okay.
And I was very lucky to have a lot of forward thinking. But at that point, I took another company public in cannabis. And a lot of people don't realize, on paper, technically speaking, I've had 10 plus companies, actually technically 15 plus companies, and including taking the company public here in the USA in cannabis. And I've had, on paper, 7 exits.
Wow.
I've had some good, some bad, but that which leads me to what I do today. So here comes a fun little 10-second pitch. Ready? And it's a new one I'm working on, so everyone can make comments about this. Hi, my name's Dr. David Cunic, and I help business owners and founders make their business dreams and goals a reality through the lost art of networking and capital raising.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's a big component
It is.
of capital raising. A lot of this is networking, right? Just getting out there and doing things. And I think you have a few, obviously, phrases for that. So UCS, I didn't realize. I thought that was some, acronym of like some initials of the original founders of the company, and then you took it over or something like that.
No, you actually want to. So if you see the hat, you see the chevrons. So you want to hear some great marketing ploy?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So when I had my physical therapy clinics, it was called DMC, which was my initials.
Oh, okay.
With the same chevrons, little box, and athletics and rehabilitation underneath. Okay. So I did some other businesses, this and that. And when it came to UCS, at the end of the day, I had another company called I Use Common Sense Systems. And we shortened that, and I'm like, all right, let's use common sense. People just don't use common sense a lot of times in business. And so I said to the person who originally designed the original logo, go, hey, can you just make a little pivot, make it UCS and do this and do that? They go, yeah, but you already use this logo. I go, yeah, but everyone in New Jersey that recognizes the old DMC logo will say, wait, that looks really familiar. I'm like, yes, I was the physical therapist. I was the guy that did this and did that, helped take care of the Red Bulls, helped take care of some Olympic athletes, like worked with veterans. So it literally, people in the North Jersey area, New York City area, recognized the logo, but they're like, I saw something similar to that. I'm like, yeah, you mean DMC Athletics and Rehab? Like, yeah, that's it. I'm like, that's me, David Matthew Cunic.
So DMC, was that just one location?
No, I actually, great story. How I got to that, my very first physical therapy clinic, I subleased a 160 square foot room.
Wow.
And I did 6 expansions in 3.5 years. In year one, we maybe grossed less than $35,000. And by the time I was on pace of selling it, we were on point to do about $2.1 million.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. And when I also had from physical therapy, then I had personal training centers, a yoga studio, a Pilates studio, massage therapist.
Now, were you already had that, or as the ACA was coming up, the Affordable Care Act, you were like pivoting to yoga, for instance, or you already had?
No, I already had all that stuff. I had all that stuff, and in a nutshell, people was like, how'd you go from a physical therapist to being CEO of a publicly traded company to doing capital raising and investor relations? Like how, and full disclosure, I'm 45 years old. I moisturize a loofah. I'm very proud that I don't look 45, but I'm like, I've had 3 careers and I'm very blessed. Pretty much what the transition was, my business mentor and partner, about 14 years my senior, he got me hooked up with some guys from the King of Prussia down in like the Philadelphia area who happened to represent, who I won't say who, let's just say a former owner of an NBA team that was in physical therapy.
Got it.
I'll leave it at that. Okay. Their brokers knew someone who knew my business partner, and they're like, hey, why don't you come down? Let's look at it. And they go, oh, Dr. Cunic, you got 3 options here. Option 1, you need to go from 3 facilities to 10. Yeah. But there's no guarantee ROI. Right. Go from 3 facilities down to 1. I can't do that. I got 7-year leases at all locations. Or option 3, sell everything before January 1st, 2013. Yeah, so that was a reality check. And what people don't know is that Hurricane Sandy really affected us a lot. 2 of my physical therapy clinics were shut down for several weeks.
You just flooded. There's no way in, no way out.
Well, let's take another step further. There was a telephone pole, and one of my clinics was on a dead end, and it was covering the road. You couldn't get in, couldn't get out. Yeah. I kept on calling the power association. They're like, listen, you're the only person complaining about the telephone pole. All the other businesses are shut down. We need everyone to come in.
And the troops, try to get them on board?
Kind of, but also, too, people forget my publicly traded company, which I was already doing in 2010 with cannabis, and we were producing 100 articles every day on health and wellness for people and for their pets. And we were covering the benefits of CBD for dogs and the benefits of CBD and cannabis for humans. Yeah. So my publicly traded company was supposed to acquire my physical therapy clinics. And then Hurricane Sandy, everything went to crap.
Oh, that's tough.
And versus Hurricane Irene, which occurred about a year or 2 earlier, we got our insurance money very quickly, this and that. And people forget Hurricane Sandy, there's a lot of rift that occurred with the federal government and the state between Chris Christie and Obama about aid and how long it took aid. And I tell everyone this, go back and look how long it took for the federal government to give aid to New Jersey for Sandy. Yeah. It set a new record for length of time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Did New York get maybe funds before New Jersey in that case? Because I remember in New York when it happened, I was living in Brooklyn at that point, and we actually only were out for like a half a day, maybe a day, because we were next to, so, they're in the Navy Yard, Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Yep.
Kind of close to that, in Dumbo specifically. But we were on the water, but we were next to the grid, which is Eversource in Massachusetts. I literally can't remember Con Ed.
Okay.
The Con Ed,
Con Ed, wow, going a little old school there, Jason. I like it.
Is it not called Con Ed anymore?
I don't know, to be honest, but I haven't heard Con Ed in ages. So
it's Con Ed. And we, but they had in their structure, of course, in their building, which is right on the water.
Yeah.
They have these very large, barriers.
Yep.
And so there was no flooding, basically. And so we were kind of close to that. So we basically got very little flooding. And we were on like 18J Street or something like that, or whatever it was called. And So we were like half a day. Like there was more damage in my apartment than there was down there.
So it's interesting you say, I don't know about New York versus New Jersey, but irony was Hurricane Irene, everyone got their power back within a day or two, but the apartment building I was in New Jersey, we had no power for 9 days. So they rechanged our grid and hooked us to the hospital grid.
Oh, wow.
So I actually won $1,000 in bets because Hurricane Sandy, and I'm at the bar across the street, Pete's Tavern, amazing place. He sold it, but Pete's was, we held our physical therapy anniversary party there. We would throw cannabis get-togethers for investors there. Great pizza, great Italian food, great beer, just an awesome, cool, small place that only holds maybe like 50, 60 people. Right. Like one of those small, intimate places. Friends with the owner. And he's like, I'm like, hey guys, I'm not gonna lose power at my apartment. Like, yeah, you will. I'm like, no, we're on the new grid. So everyone's like, I'm like, I bet you $100. I bet you $100. I bet you $100. So that night, the big storm, Pete's closed down, and the owner's like, hey, I can't get home. I'm like, I got a 2-bedroom apartment across the street. Come on over. We figured out how it would create a betting game for Shark Tank, which is a whole nother story but we wake up the next morning, and he's like, holy shit, Doc. The lights on across the street at Pete's. No one has power. I have power. I got to go cook like 100 pizzas right now.
I bet.
And
it's going to be like, cook my own food.
But yeah, I actually gave out my apartment for about 3 to 4 weeks. Like I told everyone, come in, I got to wash your dryer. Like come do your laundry and hair. You want a hot shower? Come and take a hot shower. People are like, really? I'm like, yeah, man. Like you want to use my kitchen? Use my kitchen. And people are like, really? I'm like, yeah, just use this as this is where the community comes together. Right. And I do get my balls busted. Like, hey, you're a Jersey guy, but a lot of people forget, like my mom's from Brockton, Massachusetts. Her grandmother owned a restaurant in Brockton that people in the 70s and 80s would go to all the time. My dad's from Worcester, Massachusetts, and gives back to the community a lot. He went to Worcester Polytech Institute. Now it's WPI. So I was very much raised with the wholesome New England roots and family values, but with the street smarts of the tri-state area. There you go. And like as a kid, I grew up going to Massachusetts and back. So people are like, oh, how do you know Massachusetts so well? I'm like, I'm a diehard Sox fan, man. Like,
yeah, because you're coming through all the time. And you're going up to Maine.
Yep, correct.
What's the connection to Maine?
So I started my medical career in Maine. All right, and Maine got medical marijuana back in 1999. And so. Yes, and depending on who you talk to, some people say Maine was the 3rd state to get medical. Some people say it's the 5th state, whatever. It's 1999. That's all that matters. Yeah. A doctor I was doing work for in 2001, 2002, was a strong component of using cannabis instead of opiates. So I was teaching patients all the way back then how to use cannabis. They had caregivers for the medical program. And for those of you who are listening, who don't know what caregivers are, just Google it. It's way too much to go into on this show. But caregivers are great. So
sometimes people, especially in the California market, I hear murmurs all the time. Man, it's like we're worse off than it was when the caregiver market was here.
Yeah.
Because, I think I heard a stat the other day that more stores have closed in California that are open right now.
Yep.
Which is just mind-boggling how much money was spent to be able to open all those stores and all of them being closed now.
Well, not if you want to be a really Debbie Downer, we can talk about, was it Cannabis Business Times magazine? Their article, from like 2 years ago, when they're like over 95% of all cannabis businesses in America closed within 5 years. Yeah. That's more than hospitality. Yeah. It's like, hey, you like pizza, I like pizza. It doesn't mean we're going to open up a pizza parlor. No. Like, exactly. But
I think that's how a lot of people approach things. So yeah, talking about, I guess, there's obviously the whole gamut of like the fundraising side and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you get people calling you up, tapping you on the shoulder, being like, hey, I like weed. How do I start in this business?
Oh, all the time.
What do you say to people like that?
So I'm going to answer that question by also telling you about the main connection as well, to circle back. I get that question a lot in New Jersey, New York. And I say, great. Have you gotten this? Now I'm talking like circa 2010s, okay? Just to kind of give you perspective from mind frame. Oh, dude, this weed thing's going to be so great. Great. Have you gone to Rhode Island? Have you gone to Maine? Have you gone out to Colorado? No, why? Well, do some research. Do some recon work. The other thing is, too, is the whole, there's so much money in weed, man. Like, and I do graphic design, or I'm a finance guy, and I want to go work in the industry. Great. Be prepared to take a 50% pay cut. No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So, I will say I'm very proud of the fact that, and I'm gonna use New Mexico for an example. I saved someone $1.8 million. They hired my company for 10 hours of just pure advice. They're like, my lawyer can't give me the advice, the accountant can't give me advice. No offense, free only gets you that far. And you're gonna hear me say that probably several times today, when the word free only gets you so far. We went over a few things. We looked at the project, and within 3 hours, we were like, don't do it. And there's an electricity problem. There's going to be a water problem. They didn't realize there would be a zoning problem. And literally to this day, and this person's still a friend, all because I saved her $1.8 million. She's like, I would have made the biggest mistake by doing that.
Really underwater.
And how I got really informed to ask these questions is, as I mentioned, I started my medical career in Maine, and I worked for doctors. So in circa 2009, when I took my company public in the process, and we started doing the benefits of CBD and cannabis, I went back to my main roots. I went back to my connections up there. I started to talk to the caregivers, to the state board, and other people in the industry. And I'm like, what don't I know? Like, can you come teach me? And interesting enough, there was an organization up there, which I won't say which one, for privacy reasons. They're like, listen, we'll make you a deal. If you come up once a quarter and give a 3-hour seminar on how to start a business and what needs to be done, we'll keep teaching you every month. And we literally did a meeting every week for 2 to 3 hours. So then people ask, why do you go back and forth on the East Coast? So for Maine, at one point for my business, about 30% of my clients came from Maine, or were in Maine, or New Hampshire, Maine, and about 15% of the investors we worked with were based out of Maine.
Now, do you focus only on cannabis?
No.
For this? So when you're talking about like 15, investors and all these
15% of the investors, yes.
15% of the investors. What do you like? What other types of companies do you typically take on?
So, great question. And it's something where I used my medical training, and a lot of my success in capital raising is just taking what I learned by treating patients and using the same formula towards businesses.
Okay, what does that mean, though?
Meaning, so what we do is I take a medical approach towards business. So you and I are talking, and you have a staff here, let's say, of 10 people. You and the other 10 people all have low back pain. But your low back pain could be maybe because of a tight muscle. His low back pain maybe is from his hip. His low back pain is because he has a herniated disc. His low back pain is actually coming from his knees. Her low back pain is coming from, she has flat feet. You can't use a cookie cutter program. You have to treat each individual person like an individual patient. Let's look at the whole scenario. Same exact thing with business. You can't use a cookie cutter approach. You have to treat each business like an individual patient.
Okay.
So, and that's really the technique that we use overall. And to be very frank, right now, I totally forgot your initial question. So,
I was actually thinking more about.
For clients we take on. Sorry, that's what it was. Yeah. So what we did was this: the medical approach I used for marketing was be like a 3-foot putt, laser focused.
Okay.
Okay. And there's an old trick when it comes to physical therapy. Focus on just one thing in the very beginning. Everyone will know that you're the guru for that one thing. So ironically, when I had my PT clinics, I hired a bunch of gurus. Like one woman, all she did was runners. And if you couldn't pass like how much of a runner you are, she wouldn't treat you. I had another guy who was like our diagnostic specialist. Unfortunately, he died in his sleep. One of the best human beings I ever met in my life. Bill, God rest your soul, man. What an amazing human being. But if you had a really, really unique situation, you wouldn't go see Bill. Me, I specialize in foot and ankles to the point I was like the foot and ankle guy. Yeah, right. And I would literally impress people in the summer because I would watch a woman wear flip-flops or shoes. I'm like, oh, you must have an issue with X, Y, and Z. And they go, how do you know that? I'm like, I can just tell that by the way you're walking and by the way your feet are hitting the ground. Yeah.
You've experienced a lot.
So with that approach, I took that, and at one point, 90% of our clients were all cannabis. It's too much. It's what we call like having only 1 or 2 grand slam doctors that can refer you business. So we really did well in the cannabis market. From there, people are like, wait, you did so good in cannabis. I have this other business, such as in beverages or consumer packaged goods or technology or blockchain. Like we helped with a movie with a former hip hop rapper, who I won't say who for privacy. The guy wanted to make a horror film. He needed to raise like $2.3 million. I've never raised money for a movie before, but he hired us as advisors to work on his pitch deck. His summary. His 2-minute pitch was horrible. By the time we were done with him, he had everything down in 45 seconds and guys, investors. It took him about 4 months. And he's like, dude, for 3 months, we did nothing. He's like, and all of a sudden the money just comes. I'm like, because you have confidence. So to answer your question directly, right now, our current business model is we're about 65% non-cannabis.
Oh, wow.
35% cannabis, which what I find interesting here in particular, especially for some of our West Coast people, they don't like the fact we're doing more than just cannabis. And I go, where do you think we find all these other opportunities? We find them in real estate. We find them in tech. We find them in like this hospitality groups. And Jason, I know we're going to talk about conferences. And let's talk about, it's 2025. So let's talk about the dirty little secret about conferences.
Yeah, can't wait.
All right, yes. Like, here we go. Ready?
I've been harping on conferences for such a long time now because as the new year getting kicked off, we're planning out our schedule, right? We're just trying to figure out what's worth it for us, right? Because it's always just like, if it's not worth it, like, should we even be going? And I've tapered down my schedule a lot. And I'm sad to say because I miss a lot of the people who I'd go and see all the time. And it was like an extended family.
Yep.
Places. And every time I go, I get introductions to all these new people because I just be at these conferences all the time. And that is way come down. With that said, we have to put our money in things that are have positive ROI right now.
Yes, and I'm really glad you said that because interesting enough, I went in 2023 100% over budget for marketing and conferences. Like I set a new record of, I think it was 30 plus conferences around the country. And I was averaging
Just U.S.
You just UCS, yeah, and that's literally
not outside.
Outside.
Because I know people like there's people going to Spain right now. I think for some campus conference. I think.
So I'm as someone who had his company on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange and works with people in Europe. I'm very fortunate. I don't really have to go to those because I have people that can go for me. Right. And I also have not been told. This is just me personally, for me, what the good ROI is out of there.
I don't know. I mean, I remember it was a year and a half ago, maybe even 2 years ago now. I was getting hit up once a week from somebody from Germany being like, hey, can we bring your products to Germany? Because everybody was talking about how it was going to be people. Mm-hmm. And then not like those talks have all dried up at this point. I haven't really followed up either. But at the same time, I'm like, nobody's reaching out about Germany anymore.
Yeah, it's a little difficult, and it's interesting to say about the conference. So this year we've cut back our conference schedule by 50%.
Okay. So does that mean like 15 conferences? Or are you down to like 10?
So we're attending 6 non-cannabis conferences this year. Okay. And then we're gonna do the major ones this year. And so probably overall. So there's a difference between conferences versus events, just so you know.
Yes.
An event's just like a 3 or 4 hour thing. A conference is more than a day. Yeah. Like a 1-day event, those are events. Like we still average literally 20 in-person networking events a month. Oh. Like, yeah, it's...
Well, how big's the team then? Is that all you that's going to these 20 events?
Well, the team rises and increases, decreases. You know how that goes. I'll leave it at that. The majority is me because that's part of my job though. Yeah. And the other thing is too, like I enjoy going to conferences. I enjoy networking. Ironically, I hate it. I'm not. Well, this
stresses me out. I just never, because I've always been on the introvert side of things, and so talking to people absolutely drains me. It's just one of those things. But sometimes I get energy from it if it's that type of conversation that can provide energy. But oftentimes I feel absolutely drained at the end of the day. And so I do want to get back to like networking tips and stuff like that.
Yeah. So let me give you a quick tip for that right now for you. Ready? One, it's okay to be aggressive when you network at a conference. It's okay to end a conversation in 5 minutes.
Yeah. If it's not a good fit, you're like,
well, no, you don't even say that.
Okay.
It's about being a little politically correct and polite. And here's a great phrase. Hey, you know what, Jason? I want to be respectful of your time. And by sitting here, there's so much going on. We're here to network. So let's do this. It's all about the follow-up. You know what? I can sit here and talk to you for a half hour, but you know what? We went over some stuff. I'll follow up with you by, 10 business days, and we'll go from there. Now, 1 or 2 things are going to happen. Either one, that person is going to say, I get it, no problem. We'll follow up. Great. That means they get it. Mm-hmm. If they still try to be what we call a time vampire and suck your time, no,
they try to continue the conversation.
Yeah, and if they get mad about it, you know what? You're not a good networker anyway.
Yeah. You should understand that cue.
It is, and I will say, I mean, I've been told I'm a love him or hate him guy. Like either, hey, people really like me, and they're like, nah, he was a jerk, like he blew me off, or this and that. Like, great example. I went to a conference, non-cannabis, in Las Vegas about 65 days ago, and I really, really wanted to see my one friend speak. Now, I thought he was speaking in person. I didn't know they were streaming him in to the conference. So I'm talking to this new potential investor. I'm like, hey, so-and-so, great talking with you. We'll follow up in 3 or 4 days. Got it. This woman comes over. She's including us, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to be rude. I really want to see my friend speak. Little did I know they're streaming. So I end it. I see her literally 6 hours later, and she's like, you look so familiar. We have literally like 200 mutual connections on LinkedIn. We've met 4 times before, and she's like, you were a real a-hole. You blew me off because you didn't want to talk to me. So you didn't think I didn't invent. I'm like, no. I was polite, and I told you I wanted to go see someone speak. Now, realistically, I put my foot in my mouth because I told her this. I thought he was here live. I didn't realize he was streaming. We're trying to get some deals done, and she's like, you still should have stayed at network with me. I'm like, no, I'm here for a conference. Right. And I was respectful to tell you. And her business partner was the one who actually defended me, saying, he did the right thing. He didn't blow you off. He said what he was here for. So that's a great little networking tip, though, for a conference. One, right off the bat, 5 minutes or less. Or
you should be able to tell.
Yes.
If it's not going somewhere.
Or you could always say this to save face. And I'm someone who tends to linger at an event at times and I'll say, listen, hey, Jason, I'm really enjoying our conversation. So we'll follow up in about 10 days. You'll be cool. Like, hey, but if some of the other people here had to leave or whatever, and we circle back around, maybe we want to talk for 10 more minutes, you're going to be like, yeah, sure. Hey, I'm going to go network, you're going to network. So now you have a safety valve. Right. Where I'm like, hey, Jason, like, hey, you intrigued me a little bit. While we're here, let's talk a little bit more. But I don't do dinners at conferences. Yeah. I don't go out and give someone 3 hours of my time, 2 hours. I'm like, no. Also for conferences, another great tip we always tell people is do your recon work. Before you show up. Like we actually here at UCS Advisors, we actually offer everyone, and we're going to post about it again probably next week, a free conference playbook. Literally, it's literally a 10 to 15 page playbook on how to prepare for a conference, how to reach out, how to do follow-up. It's a free thing we give away. We actually post about it on LinkedIn and on Facebook.
I think I need a copy of that.
We'll have to get you a copy of that.
Yeah, that's one of those things that we're almost always starting from zero every time an event is coming up or a conference. We're just like, okay, what do we do again? And we have to look at some old SOP document that we built, the previous year and be like, oh, we should update this. This is really ancient now and stuff like that.
So another networking tip. You have a booth at a conference. If I, as an advisor, I'd say, hey, Jason, to make it really on your team, print out and literally email everyone and text everyone in a PDF the top 3 things that they should be talking about good feels. So everyone's going to put in their own tone of voice and their own little swing. But if you give 3 blunt statements, now everyone on your team. Because
all saying the same.
Exactly. Because one of the biggest mistakes we see at conferences is attendees. Like, me and Chris, when we go to a conference, we would practice what we're going to say ahead of time. And we practice our bullet points. Like, hey, what are we going to focus on? We got to make sure we're on the same page. We're not going to say it the same way, but it has to be enough where, oh, I met someone. And you'd be amazed how much more business you will get as a booth vendor, or you will get as an attendee. If you're going with a team, when you divide, you start introducing yourself. Someone will say, oh my God, I heard something so similar to that before. It's like, oh, you must have met my team member. Now it's another touch point.
Another connection.
Exactly. So that's something we recommend to all our clients.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So reducing your schedule of conferences in general.
Yes.
Because obviously it's a lot of travel.
Just the ROI isn't as much. The quality of people isn't what I'm looking for. I would say quality of people, but the quality of companies I'm looking for. And
so what is your target actually? Are you looking for investors, companies? Are you looking for all these things? Like when you go to a conference, typically what's your target audience?
It varies conference to conference. So I'm going to give you a great example. Okay. NECAN Boston. Okay. That conference we go to, a lot of our lenders, financial resources, investors, they're not going to that conference. So like, hey, if there's something unique, let us know. Right. NECAN Boston, we go to literally meet new clients that need our capital raising advisory services. Yeah, the ones who are like, hey, there's no money in the market. Well, that's bullshit. There's actually a lot of money out there. You just don't have your act together because there's no more, as Seth Yakutin said, literally this past week, there's no more dumb money. out there. I say there's no more hype money in cannabis. But there's a lot of money out there. Okay, there's a ton of money, but it's a real business. Versus, I went to a conference in Brooklyn recently. That was only just to meet with family wealth offices, high net worth individuals, and investors who like to invest between $50,000 and $150,000.
Got it. So there's that target again. So into this what you're going for. So you rehearse in advance, like, hey, here's my points that I want to talk about. So
and then let me take it one more step further.
One more step, but I got to ask a question.
Okay, so one more step forward is that there was a conference recently, I won't say which one in cannabis that we both know of. I only went there because we had 6 clients of ours there. And my whole thing was for all the clients to meet one another, compare notes, and then for them to also share their investor list and how to do it in a proper way. So that was just to build connections for them and to help them out. Exactly. Yeah.
I like that. The question is, which I think Seth has mentioned, and I actually just happened to recently speak to him as well. There is money.
There's a ton of money.
Right?
Yeah.
So there is money in cannabis. And so when I look at like when people are, when companies and different operators, and specifically in cannabis, obviously, because that's really my focus here, like when they're going out and they're looking to raise money, there's so many things they've got to learn, obviously, because especially if they've never done it before, and people have not done it before.
Correct.
Like, do you have what is like a big mistake people make immediately when they're like, hey, I got to raise money, besides not hiring you?
They don't understand the timeline, and
it's gonna be like a 30-day thing.
More of, hey, just because I'm ready to raise money, you should be ready to give me a check now. No, it doesn't work that way. There's a lot of networking that occurs. There's a lot of relationship building that occurs. There's a lot of building fear of missing out, building online community. Like pre-revenue, people are like, oh, no one will give me money at pre-revenue. I'm like, yeah, they will. Like you want to do a dispensary for cannabis, and we had someone here in Massachusetts. They're like, no one's gonna give me money. We're pre-revenue. We're like, let people know what you're doing and start building a database. He's like, why? Next thing you know, the guy gets 9,000 email addresses from people within a 10-mile square radius or like 15-mile square radius of people that want a dispensary there. You show that to an investor, like, okay, there's a demand. Right, exactly. That makes sense. You did the work. Right. So one of the biggest mistakes is that like the whole failure to plan is plan to fail. Mm-hmm. And what we hear is this. We'll ask people point blank, send me these items right now. And when we hear, we don't know what that is, you need help. Or they say, well, tell me what exactly you want. I'll create it. And then go, no, that doesn't work either. Okay. And let's just call a spade a spade. In general, when it comes to capital raising, in the ideal world, you want to start at least 6 months ahead of time. So if you know you're going to need money 6 months from today, you need to start now. And it's going to be about 90 days. It doesn't really take 90 days, but 90 days prep work, reaching out to that, then the second 90 days of, hey, meeting with the investors, talking with the investors.
Do you typically have investors, people who are raising funds, the operators themselves, do you have that? Is there like that C list, B list, A list tiers of different types of investors? So you're like, hey, go practice on C level people first.
Yeah. So
I'm not trying to insult anybody who's
no,
an investor.
No.
Who are going to ask maybe less questions, or maybe they're just not as savvy around the space, but you can, or maybe they're just like kind of interested, they're on the fence. Before you get your clients in front of like the A lists, they kind of need that warm up, right?
Yeah, so this comes back to when people say, oh, there's no money out there. So I don't know the numbers exactly, so don't quote me on this. But you should practice your 2-minute pitch to literally 100 people. It's not that tough to meet 100 people. If you don't have 100 people to talk to, think about that, in reality. The other thing is, too, you want to practice your 10-minute pitch to at least 30 to 40 people, okay? And part of what we do here at UCS Advisors is we actually help you create what's called a spheres of influence list. Okay. And as per the Small Business Association of America, an estimated 63% of your investors for a pre-Series A round will come within 3 degrees of your network. And one of the biggest mistakes people make is, I don't know anyone with money. Well, don't count someone else's money. You know, people I know who literally are wearing jeans that are 20 years old, a flannel, and they're sitting on like 7 figures stuffed underneath the mattress. Yeah. So it's about that price. So sometimes when I give lectures, who say, oh, it's so tough. I'm like, you're at the tip of the iceberg. How many people have you done this to? Or people say, oh, I've already talked to a bunch of investors. Great. Where's your investor list? How many have you created? Oh, I don't have that. Right. So you really,
Spreadsheet.
yeah. Oh yeah, that happens all the time. So, but yes, we talk about practicing, and then on top of that too, taking that medical approach towards business. If you were a physical therapy patient, I would say, listen, the best place for you to fail is here in front of me in a controlled environment. Like, hey, we're going to practice your running again, practice your walking again. Do it here in front of me, so in case something doesn't feel right, you can talk to me right away. Me and one of my other team members, we donate our time every week for entrepreneurs and founders for a pitch deck competition, and we give them real feedback. No PowerPoint slide, 2 minutes they get, all from memory.
Is this like a webinar that you run?
No, I'm actually part of another organization that represents a bunch of VCs and family wealth offices, so they kind of get people prepped. Here though, in 2025, UCS, we're now doing what's called AMA, Ask Me Anything, once a month now, from usually 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., usually the second Wednesday of the month. Ask us anything about capital raising for an hour and a half. Like, hey, just pick our brains. What do you want to know? Because this goes back to your initial question of A list, B list, C list. Well, if your friends and family aren't willing to even talk to you, like, hey, fail with them, fail with us. When people say, well, I don't want to pay you anything, just find me the money, my exact reaction is this: great, give me your 2-minute pitch right now. Well, I'm not ready, I can't do that. Well, then I can't do my job. Hey, great, can you text me this information, like your executive summary? Oh, I don't have that done. Then really, how can I do my thing? Or, hey, by the way, I got 20 minutes right now. Send me a Zoom link. Give me your 10-minute pitch. Oh, I need an hour. Like, it's, no, you're not ready.
You're not ready.
And that's something where about 97% of the clients that come to us are not, they have something, but they're not investable yet.
Right.
And then on the flip side, we work with, we have a company in Maine that we're working with. They do 8 figures a year. 8 figures, but the guy hates speaking. He hates networking.
It's my guy.
Hey, he doesn't, but he literally hired us. He's like, I need help to get out of my comfort level.
Yeah.
How do I do this? And I'm like, I'll do you one better. When I'm in Maine, why don't you come to a networking event with me? He's like, really? I'm like, and I'll teach you how to work the room and what to look for. And the guy had a blast. He's like, oh my God, this isn't intimidating at all. Yeah. I'm like, we pick and choose our places. Yeah. Like, here's another great example for a conference at a networking event. Let's say we're in a rectangle room right now. Myself, I will usually go in a back corner, keeping my shoulders open, looking forward so I can see everyone that's walking into the room. I can wave them over. They can see me. I can have my private time if I want, but it's making sure it's an opening where it's welcoming other people in. And then we also teach our clients how to close off that circle. So if you're in an intense investor conversation, someone not going to come in. Right. And
some interrupting you.
Oh, well,
even a friend being like, hey,
yeah,
how's it going?
Exactly.
And I'm like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, no.
Like, read the room.
Yeah.
Like, so great example. I was at a diner in New Jersey last weekend, and a guy who lives out in Martha's Vineyard, he's doing something in cannabis. I won't say what. And the guy's in his late 60s. And he's like, listen, I'm too old for this. He's like, I want to work smarter, not harder. My main reason for hiring you is to go from a 3% success rate to maybe a 20 or 30% success rate. I'm like, actually, we average about 43%. So thank you. And a guy who I haven't seen in like 11 years. And he was actually a former physical therapy patient. He's like, Dr. David, what's going on, buddy? I'm like, hey. He's like, oh, dude, you're in a meeting. I get it. Good seeing you. I work around here. If you want to come by, say hello later. The guy got it. He understood. Like, I was in the middle of talking to someone versus me and and you know this person, so I won't say who.
I love those privacy disclaimers. You're not giving up any names. Right?
We got to ease into it. So we were together and we're talking about a mutual client. It was a very intense conversation because we want to take care of our client. And this jerk, 3-piece suit, slick back hair, comes in, ignores the female. I was like, hi, I heard you're the infamous Dr. David. I got to meet you right now and talk to him. Like, hey, man, know something. Ignores the female. I'm like, hey, this is so-and-so. She does a lot of great work in cannabis. And the guy blew her off. Didn't even shake her hand, nothing. I'm like, hey, man, like, we're in the middle of something. And then I run into him like an hour later. And he's like, hey, man, where's the money? You got to introduce me. Like, hey, like, dude, I don't need any help. Just find me money. And I'm like, dude, I just met you, and the way you handle that situation, that person I was talking to, she's connected to literally about 50 individual investors, and you just pissed her off, and you just lost an opportunity with literally 50 people she represents. He's like, well, I didn't know that. I'm like, it's not the point, bro. It's just etiquette. And I go, I need to teach you. And this is something that's interesting about capital raising. I win a lot of tough love awards because I tend to be very blunt. And that's the medical guy in me. Investors will say things to you for two reasons. One is for your emotional intelligence and business etiquette. Once again, emotional intelligence and business etiquette. I know investors that will be at NECAM Boston that will say things on purpose when they need money just to see how they react. And depending on how they react, they'll know if they want to do a second conversation at all or not.
Interesting.
And this is where, when it's your baby, that's where we come in also as advisors and help you with this. It's more than just getting the money. It's how do you navigate it? And then like, great, now maybe you have 15 investors. Well, do you want to handle all 15 investors, or do you want an outside company to say, hey, this is when you do a newsletter. This is how you stay in front of things. So it's more than just actually raising money. It's the whole skill set. And we tell people, we get you ready for the big boys. Like, oh, you want that 20, 30, 40 million eventually? Right. How you raise the first couple million?
Right. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to get that $5,000 check sometimes just to like, oh, I got something. I was able to close somebody. That was a huge confidence boost for me when I was starting to do my raise. Getting that first check, and I think the first check might have been like 10 or 25K.
Yeah,
exactly. But it was just like, okay, I can do this because every company I'd had before, we had bootstrapped, and I had business partners to bootstrap with. This was a single owner venture, just myself.
Yep.
And I had never raised money before, and I'm like, how do I do this? And I actually remember reaching out to you at some point during that process and be like, help me.
Yep.
And so I think a lot of these lessons that you're teaching right now are absolute gold for people who are listening right now, because I'm always under the impression that the money's gone. There's not coming back anytime soon because it's such a depressed market in cannabis. Of course, there's highlights, right? There's the New York market is really starting to come alive, right? And so all of a sudden, I remember when everybody was laughing at New York because it was like 40 stores. And we're like, oh, they can't get their act together. I'm like, just wait. It's just something about New York where you're just like, they're going to mess up something in the beginning. Everybody, it's always going to be happening. But once they get it right, they're going to blow up. And all this, it's like 300 stores now or something crazy in New York right now. So in New York City as well as New York State.
Yep.
So I think there are these pockets of really great opportunities. And with even inside Massachusetts, a state that many people have kind of written off in a sense because it's...
Oh, you guys are hitting market here. So let's take this another step further, okay? Sure. And let's talk about hidden money. All right, and this goes back to what I was going to say, the little dirty trick about conferences. I'm going to circle back to that. And also let's talk about you and your company for a second, okay? Sure. So one, right off the bat, you're talking about Massachusetts, New York. The funny joke now in cannabis conferences is you don't go to a cannabis conference to meet cannabis investors. You go to meet other cannabis operators. You go to a non-cannabis conference to meet people who like cannabis who now want to invest in it. You'd be amazed how many people in crypto, blockchain, real estate, even like private equity conferences, they're now all starting to say, oh, I'll take 5% of my portfolio. I'll take 5% or 10% and I'll invest in cannabis now. Yep. Okay. Now that, there's enough data. Okay. The other thing is too, is we tell people it's also okay to go out and get some money on your own to help increase the valuation of your company. Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest switch we've seen since that we saw this in Q4 2024, this new trend. 2021, actually 2020, 2024 for the most part, everyone's like, I need all the money up front. I can't build any value. We kept on telling our clients like, oh, you need to raise $3 million. Go get 500, 600, the first tranche and start to build out the company. Now the value comes out. Now you've hit some of your key performance instruments. Now, you have you're showing the investor what you're going to do. Seth Yakin, using him again because he just spoke about this, and him and I joked about it very briefly, was what you do is you first tell the investor what you're going to do, then you do it, then you ask for the money. Like, pretty simple. And Jason, let's use you for an example. Like, so full disclosure, everyone, I am an investor in Goodfields. And yeah, and also too, some people we worked with have also invested in you. Okay. You are a great example of, hey, I'm a solopreneur. I need an unbiased opinion, not from my lawyer, not from my accountant, and not from an investor, because there's things about that can tell me, should I go this way or that way? All right. From there, you also showed us here at UCS Advisors, your level, your commitment, getting things done, keep us in the loop. Where now we have a larger level of trust. Now it's like, hey, Jason, and you've heard me call you randomly out of the blue, like, hey, I'll never forget. I'm on the FDR in New York City. I'm like, I'm going to this event, and someone asked me if I knew any beverage companies in New England, and I'm like, what's going on, Jason? You want an introduction or what? Like, but where I'm going with this for you, and this is a lot of kudos for everyone listening. You are a great role model of, hey, I need some help, but I need unbiased help. And you invested a couple grand, wasn't a lot of money, to get that. And from there, you also now built my confidence in you. That fact that I want to give you capital. You also built confidence in other people I worked with, because I would talk about you, say, hey, you're a client of mine. And people are like, oh, I really like that. I really like them. And this, I'm like, oh, well, you want an introduction to the CEO? Oh, you know the CEO? Yep, I got my speed dial. Like, you know what? But the thing is, though, that's also where, too, working with a capital raising advisor has your back. And we kind of joke around now here at UCS Advisors, like, the more work you put in, the more work we put in. And people are like, well, what does that mean? Like, well, we want to make sure you're serious.
You can match that level of effort, because you see the more hard work that gets put into this, the more success rate goes up.
Exactly. And you really have, I mean, heck, look at your facility. It's grown dramatically. Look at your SKUs has grown. Your staff has grown. And you continue to grow, but also, too, you'll take time to talk to your investors and give them an update and this and that.
Yeah.
And
that is hard to do. I'm not going to lie. And so I have to write my next investor update, but so since we're so heads down, it's so hard to pick your head up and be like, look at all the things we did, because we're still working on making everything better all the time, right? We're in a constant improvement process. There's no slowing down for us.
So here's a tip for you, for everyone listening. Ready? Set your calendar for every 45 days. I mean, dead blunt. All right, every 45. Now, this is what you do. Ready? You are working on a bunch of things. So let's say today's day one. Write down everything you're working on. Share in a Google Drive. Now, you already have your next investor update for the next 3 to 4 periods, because now you say, oh, we worked on this on day 1. Look where we're at on day 45 for these 3 things. Now you're on day 90. Hey, look on these other things we've worked on since day 90.
Here's the improvement.
Exactly. And it's an old press release trick. I mean, people forget, like, I was a CEO of a publicly traded company. And people are like, how do you know how to do these things? I'm like, I did a lot of press releases. And an old trick with press releases is this. Take a newsletter that you did for your investors from 6 months ago. Pick something from that you talked about 6 months ago and give them an update on what's going on with it. It's not that difficult. Like, once you have a few.
It's ridiculous how much sense that makes.
Yeah, and literally, and also, too, here's another great thing. Like, we have companies hire us for 10 hours of service to say, hey, when should we do a Zoom call or an investor conference call? I'm like, great. Let's do that. No one can ask you questions or anything. They have to email your questions ahead of time. We have a deadline. Then you prepare for it. Literally, what blows my mind in cannabis with all these smaller businesses is, I go, people will give you more money. Your investors will be proud if you communicate. And we have a client in Michigan, and they drive me nuts. They haven't given an investor update in over 12 months. They won't take my advice. They won't do it. And I'm like, Cindy, I go, just do a conference call. Like, you keep everyone on mute. Yeah. It's like, well, I don't want to really do that. And I'm like, you need to do this.
I've done that once as a year roundup.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we finished the year. I've got so much to talk about. Let's just like jump on a call together, because otherwise it's like remembering all the things. Because the way my brain works is that I need like a trigger to unlock that memory.
Yep.
So people will be like, hey, how was your day? I'm like, fine. But I did like 1,000 things today. I have no.
So you're like a kid in elementary school. How's your day at school, honey?
It's
fine. So let me give you a suggestion for that.
Sure, shoot.
What you are missing out on is a missed opportunity. You should be doing that update every 6 months, and here's the reason why. You can now, because I know you have more than 3 investors. I'll leave it at that. I won't say how many. But you can now, when you do this update, say, hey, to the investors, here are the 3 things we need a little help with gratis on. Do you have someone in your network that can do this? Yeah. And utilize that network more?
I've done that, and it actually has worked a few times. And I found people that I've never found, because our investors are invested in the company.
Yep.
They want to see it succeed. And so they're making intros that I didn't have access to.
So we're working on a really small, I always mess it up, living soil grow in New Jersey. and the one guy's from California. Really, these guys are really cool. Like, they get it. It's like, and they were like, hey, we need help. Like, we don't know what we're doing. And so interesting.
First step in raising money.
Oh yeah.
I think for cannabis operators, I don't know what I'm doing with raising money. I need help.
Well, and
I think a lot of people get so egotistical. They're like, I can figure this out, and they try to do it, and they're just like, guys, like, you've never done this before. Ask somebody who's done it before.
Oh, and I joke around. I'm like, oh, well, why don't you do the accounting by yourself? Why don't you do the legal work by yourself? It's like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, but you can raise money. Like, think about that. But where I'm going with these two guys, where they already had several investors, and I'm like, hey, like, would you share your investor list? Like, can I do a little recon work? And they do some recon work. I'm like, guys, some of your investors are connected to X, Y, and Z that can help you with this, and they actually might give you money. He's like, really? He's like, but I can't ask for that. And I'm like, all right. So we coach them on what to do. And as their advisor, I go, let me be on the call with you. They're like, why? I'm like, because it shows that you brought a big boy. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, guys, you guys are both in your early 30s. Not that I'm playing an age card, but I have more experience. So the fact you're telling your investors you hired someone like UCS advisors to get some help will give them more confidence. Yeah. We do a conference call. The one investor is like, thank God they hired you. Thank God you hired UCS advisors. You know, I got more done in this half-hour conversation than I usually do with you guys. I'm like, yeah, they need some help with this and that. We're trying to streamline. Guys like, oh, I'll make a phone call right now. Can you do a meeting next Tuesday? But I want you on the call with them. Sure, no problem. And these guys are like, oh my God. Well, next thing you know, this guy refers someone else. He's helping them out with a HR problem, and he's also now giving them $75,000.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, and these guys are like, this shit really works. And I'm like, yeah. I go, and so it's interesting. Our older clients, they're just like this. They're like, I'm too old for this shit, and I don't want to learn it as much. Just tell me what I need to do. And they're like a sponge.
They'll just take it all in. They'll do what you say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is there an age bias in that sense? Because in the younger operators, they're kind of more like, they're gung-ho, crush the world, I'll figure all this stuff out. And the older ones are more just like, hey, I know my limitations and I need help.
I think part of it also has to do with technology. Like, so I got the internet my senior year of high school. And then everything I did was medical. So like, I'm a print, save, delete type of guy. Like, but our older clients are like, hey, I don't understand crowdfunding. I don't really understand LinkedIn, but I'm willing to learn it. Like, I don't understand. I'm used to just being on the phone for an hour with someone. Hey, that doesn't work anymore. While the younger people are like, well, we have crowdfunding, or hey, like there's I think it's startups.com or something like that, where they charge people like $3,500, and they do all this stuff. And we've had people leave them, and I'm not poo-pooing them, because listen, they do a good job, but they're like, I had someone different on my account. They're not teaching me anything. They're just trying to hit it. Like, there are companies out there that just guarantee you meetings. Like, they'll guarantee you like 5 investor meetings a week, but what they don't tell you is if those investors are actually interested in your projects. Right. And sometimes these companies do what's called the gift card trick, where, oh, hey, Jason, dude, I gotta hit my quota for the week. I know you have no interest in investing in this biopharma deal, right, but technically you're a accredited investor. Listen, I'll send you a $50 Amazon card. Can you just go on this call for like a half hour for me to meet my quota?
Before. And that is super shady. And I didn't realize I was getting set up for it. But it was literally like, I was talking to this guy. I'm like, this guy is, in the back of my head, I'm like, this guy has no interest in talking to me right now. Like, what's going on? This is supposed to be a warm lead because it came through a guy. And all of a sudden I was like, I sniffed it out almost within the first 10 minutes. I was like, there's something off with this call. And I suspect it was something like that, where it was just like, he was like, hey, to his friend, be like, hey, can you just jump on this call? I got no other leads for him or whatever. Can you just hop on this call so it looks like I'm working?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that happens, and then also too, like, you could take it another step further. Like, we don't take any equity in anyone's company that we work with, which blows people's minds. And I'm like, well, I'll give you equity instead. I go, great. What's my liquidation? What's going to happen for this and that? And they're like, and I go, and also too, it's my job as your capital raising advisor to help you keep as much equity as possible. Right. They go, what do you mean? And interesting. I went to a conference. Actually, I'm doing a post about this soon. I went to a real estate conference. I went to a blockchain conference. I went to a cannabis conference. 3 conferences. And on all 3 conferences, the hedge funds people all said the same exact thing.
What?
Which blew my mind to hear the hedge fund people in 3 different sectors all say the same exact thing.
What did they say?
Stop giving equity to advisors. And I'm sitting here, I heard the real estate, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And the real estate guy's like, hey, the reason why is because we're going to sit here and give you a bunch of money. That advisor has 2 or 3% could ruin the entire deal. Okay. When it came to the blockchain, the hedge fund guys like, next thing you know, they have 5 advisors. They've already give out 18% of their company, and they have no way to buy them back. They're not delivering anything. Stop giving your advisors, let them earn it, And then the canvas people were like, easiest way to not get funded is to actually go and give away a bunch of equity to advisors. Yeah. And the one hedge fund person for Canvas goes, you give your lawyer some equity. You give your account some equity. So literally that's what we're hearing. Stop giving. So people are like, we'll give you equity instead. I go, no. I'm like, it's my job to help you keep it. Right. Now, there are companies that we have worked with for a couple of years. They're like, hey, it's not paying you. Can we give you? I'm like, yeah, because we know each other. And one thing that our competitors hate, and this is another thing is interesting too, is a refund policy. We have a refund policy for our middle tier package and our VIP package. And we're like, hey, if not the right fit, here you go.
Wow, that's amazing, because I think about those things and it's just like every time I think of like hiring an advisor, I'm like, that money's just gone. Like, we have to really believe in this person's going to be able to deliver on this stuff because it's gone. But having a refund policy, I guess, would give you that kind of guarantee that, like,
yeah,
you're
so
gonna get something valuable or you're going to get your money back.
Oh, exactly. And this is where, like, we update our packages. Like, our smallest package, 10 hours of service, no refund. Yeah. But the hours never expire. Right. Okay. But our middle tier package, green nuggets are low one. Green diamond is our most popular one because we want to shine you up like a nice shiny green diamond and show you off to the world. It comes with up to a 60-day refund policy for any unused time, no questions asked. Listen, life happens, shit happens. Yep. And then our VIP package is for up to 4 months. Yep. And the reason why we do this is that I'm an entrepreneur. I know every dollar counts. I also know that you might say no to your dream anymore, or like there is a consulting company that is a competitor of ours. And the 2 founders hate the fact we do not charge a monthly fee. He's like, you're hurting us. He's like, and like this guy's like, it's like being a quarterback in the NFL. You just can't take like $10 million a year like Tom Brady did. You gotta make 30 or 40 million. You gotta set the market. And I'm like, he's like, well, I think LeBron James gets like 40, $50 million a year because he has to keep the market going. I'm like, no, man. I go, it's about the long-term client.
I think a lot of people don't. I think people are still short-term focused because, the green rush is over, obviously. The hype is gone. There's no hype money out there, like you said. And I think a lot of people are definitely thinking short-term. But when it comes to the lawyers, accountants, things like that, taking shares and stuff like that, I 100% agree with you. And I actually had an attorney, before I even knew any better, I was like, hey, would you rather take equity instead of pay? Because, we're running low on cash. It's hard to like cut these checks for you. And he's like, conflict of interest.
Yep.
No. And I was like, I respected him more for saying that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I've also seen a lot of these weird deals, and I actually got one the other day. It was like, hey, we're going to give you money, and then you're going to pay for our services.
Yep.
So it's like, hey, here's $50,000, and just coincidentally, it costs $50,000 for our services, kind of thing.
Yep.
And it's just like, how do you even, like, so those are just no-go, like, immediately. Like, just stay away from those things, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's in the fine print. This is where you talk to the lawyer. I mean, we get sent a lot of contracts to look for clients because they're like, hey, we don't want to spend our lawyer and this and that. Could you take a look at this for us? We're like, sure. But yeah, those things are very shady. On top of that too, when it comes to also this raising money in general, it's what's the short-term goal? What's the long-term goal? How much money do you need for 3 months, 6 months, a year? And like a tranche for people that are listening is, let's say I'm going to give you $1 million, Jason, but the first tranche is 200,000. The second tranche, maybe it's 300,000. So it's a set amount.
Are there triggers that kind of unleash that tranche, or is it kind of time?
It varies on deal to deal, but part of our job is people say, oh, I need $1 million. I'm like, you don't need $1 million tomorrow. You actually, as per the way your deck is, you need $225,000 in 60 days. Right. Then you really need about another $150,000 within 30 days after that. But you don't need the remaining balance for 7 months.
Right.
And that's part where we come in and really kind of help educate and teach that part as well too.
Are you seeing overblown evaluations in the newer markets like New Jersey and New York and stuff like that? Are you seeing it, like some crazy valuations out there right now?
I'm seeing crazy post-money valuations. I'm like, and this literally happened earlier this week. Guy's talking to me. I'm like, oh, how much do you need? I'm like, what's your company worth? He's like, 13.1 million. And I'm like, who gave you that assessment or that valuation? He told me. I go, oh. And I knew who the person was, and I go, oh, that's post money. He goes, yeah. I go, first rule, if we work together, your valuation is 13.1 million post money. Right now, it's not worth any of that. And he's like, well, we really think. I go, so what happens if everything goes to crap? So, and that's where it's interesting. Because the other thing is too, for valuations, we tell people, do your recon work. Like when I started in cannabis, God, like my first company was back in 2009. And then and technically I was a very, very, very small investor of a cannabis company back in 2006. So, but in 2009, it was like MSU, make shit up.
Right.
Swag, shit, wild ass guess. Because there wasn't enough data. Now I'm like, there's so much data.
Yeah, there's tons of data.
And I'm like, now
you're just going to look to another state.
Yeah.
That's the way we decided on just being a product manufacturer, because we saw California. We're like, well, we don't want to be a cultivator, clearly, because of oversupply of cannabinoids. And then we're also like, well, we don't really want to be retail either, because we see all these stores popping up.
Yeah.
We don't really want to be the package store, right? Because at some point, especially with federal legality, but before that, as states become more mature, especially uncapped states, you're going to get the true leads that have 230 stores. And you're just like, okay, that's a convenience store at that point, right? So from our perspective, we were very much just like, okay, we're not good at growing. It's being commoditized rapidly in any state that's already out there. But I actually just saved a person, this is months ago now, but I got a deck sent to me because people all ask for my advice.
Yeah.
And he was just like, should I do this deal or not? And I saw how much they were going to get per pound of finished cured flower. And it was $4,000 a pound. I'm like,
that's a good joke.
Out of your mind? Do not invest any money into this company. They have no clue what they're talking. They've never done the research. Maybe they've never gone to California or Colorado, Oregon, or something like that, where the prices, I think even Michigan, I think a kilo of distillate is, I think I was just quoted, $15.
Well, the thing, I mean, Jason, let's call spade a spade for a second. It's 2025. There are more cannabis associations in each freaking state. You can just call them and they'll tell you the data. Was it BDSA? They'll give you there's so much free information. Then I go, hey guys, there's this thing called publicly traded companies. Look at their financials. I go, oh yeah, but their growth is so big compared to mine. I go, well, it's a really simple equation. Take your size grow divided by what their size is, and that's a percentage. So whatever numbers they did, take that percentage, and then that could be what you do. They go, oh,
you can't survive at that number.
Yeah.
Because that's right. I kept on hearing, especially over the last few years, if you can't survive at, X dollars per gram of distillate or whatever, then you should probably get out of the business, because that's where the markets go.
And we tell our clients, for your performa, people always ask this. So little tip for everyone, be like, oh, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. Listen, you have a 3 year performa, that's fine. All right. 5 years, great, but 3 years is really all that you need. But you need 3 performas. You need one is average. What do you think's average? You need one that if everything goes literally 90% correct, great. And then you need one that's decreased by 35 to 40%.
Okay.
And if you could still make money, if you have a 35 or 40% decrease from your average performa, you're going to be okay.
Right.
And investors will look at that.
Yeah. Because it's a long-term game. Like
it is.
Mentioned. It's it's being in the game. If you're in the game, you're in it and you're doing well, or maybe not doing well, but you're surviving.
Yep.
As people say nowadays, surviving, not thriving.
Yep.
And it's a long-term play. But if you can't make it, if those numbers don't work at those lower kind of, costs, for instance, if you're a cultivator, for instance, and you're expecting, $4,000 a pound for flower, it's the best. I'm the master grower. I've been growing for 25 years, and I get it. I totally respect the plant, and I know you definitely do as well. But you got to be realistic with the market.
Well, and also too, we see these master growers who are now, what's the largest you ever done? And they tell me the size, and I go, what you're gonna do for this is literally a 900% increase.
It's like,
it's a different animal.
I had a 5,000 square foot grow, and it's like a 80,000 square foot space. You're like, okay, but how do you scale? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
5,000 square feet grow as a master grow. It's huge already, kind of thing. But then you get a lot of, especially Massachusetts, you do see a lot of the social equity companies coming up that are, they're conservative enough to realize that all they need is 5,000 square feet.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And still be able to make a living, versus being back 3 years ago, people were like, all right, I need as much canopy as possible, And
that's also where, too, interesting, going back to Massachusetts. So I have a lot of connections to Massachusetts. I have a lot of relatives. My best friend from college lives in Big Red Country, North Attleboro. So, that's right. And I've had family live in Rhode Island as well, too. People, I'm a lot more connected to New England scene than people realize. But for Massachusetts, what's also interesting too is that what I see is that people forget Boston is one of the toughest markets in America just to raise money in. Just point blank, people forget that. All right, and then Boston is, even though it's an old city, it's actually the youngest city for the average age for someone. A lot of people forget that. Okay. Also, for what we're seeing from Massachusetts is, hey, go hit up some investors in California, Colorado, New York. They will give money to you, and this is where you have to get out of your comfort zone, where this goes back to like, hey, you don't like networking, talking. For a couple of years in a row, people were hired at our company just to go to MJ BizCon to represent them. I'm like, great, you pay us X amount of dollars, we'll go to 15 booths for you. What booths do you want to go on your behalf? So literally, we would take on 3 or 4 clients, and I literally, people joke around because I was a guy, and you see me at MJ with a clipboard. I'm like, oh, you're on the list. Great. This is what I got to talk to you about. And people are like, oh, you're like the gym teacher. You have a clipboard. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I have my list of people who I'm representing. But that's also another way too. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to go to different events.
Actually, can you share the conference hack or conference trick that you alluded to earlier? The networking trick, maybe at conferences or something like that you were saying? What it was? I have it written down here because you brought it up.
Oh, I say that one more time.
The conference, you said you had a trick for conferences.
Oh, well, no. So what I was saying before, the overall picture is a big joke about conferences is you don't go to a cannabis conference to meet cannabis investors. Right. You go to a non-cannabis conference to meet cannabis investors. Right. And that's really kind of the trick, where if you are looking to raise money in cannabis, don't go where everyone else is in cannabis. Right. Go when you're the only 1 or 2 person in cannabis.
I can imagine, because I've been to plenty of events. Yeah. And again, not mentioning any events specifically, but going there and being like, half the room is looking for money.
Yeah.
There's like a couple of big name VC type people there, and they're being swarmed by, I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Oh, like I have to tell people, where we have clients say to us all the time, hey, can you line up meetings? Like, let's use NECAM Boston. Hey, can you line up meetings for a bunch of investors? I'm like, they're not going to this. Why not? I go, they don't need to go. They'll send their liaison. So something that we teach people, and here comes a conference hack. Ready? It's called potential investor resources.
Okay.
All right. And potential investor resources. So Jason, you're not the one with the money, but you have 20 investors that you already work with. They're connected to 8 more investors. So you're a potential investor resource. Too often in cannabis, compared to other industries, it's, oh, you don't have a check for me? Have a good day. Bye. Right. Versus, hey, nice to meet you. Maybe we get to know one another. Hey, maybe this is what I'm looking for. Do you have anyone in your wheelhouse? All right. So it's about the potential investor resources. That's key. And the second little hack for conferences is have an investor profile, because people, I'm going to say the F word, so I'm not going to say that, mess this up all the time. What kind of investor do you want? And literally ask people, and Jason, I'm very blunt with my questions. I'm like, oh, great. You need an investor? Great. Give me 3 pieces of objective data for the type of investor. Well, they got really, love the plant. And I'm like, no, 3 pieces of objective data. Like, right. And be like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what kind of investor do you want? Do you want an active investor or a passive investor? Do you want someone with a smaller check size or a larger check size? Do you want someone that deploys capital within 30 days or maybe 90 days or 6 months? How much due diligence are you willing to accept for the investor? When's the last time they've even invested in cannabis? I love people like, oh man, like, David, we don't need to hire you because we're talking to 2 other people. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, so what happens if that doesn't work out? Oh, it's gonna work out. Great. So the lawyers are talking to each other? Well, no. Yeah. Okay, you have a letter of intent? Right. No. And another great one we teach our clients is, and we hear this a lot, is, I would talk to this person for 4 months. I finally think they're going to invest. I go, great. Who came up with the closing guideline? They're like, what do you mean? I go, oh, Jason, you're interested in giving my company $100,000? All right, how's our timeline? You need due diligence? Great, let's have our due diligence done within 20 days. On day 21, let's meet together. Let's work out the general terms. From day 21 to day 30, I'll get that over to my lawyer. My lawyer will have them to you between day 31 and day 40. You can review it, and hopefully we get everything wrapped up in 6 days. Now there's a timeline. Right. Now you keep on track.
You have to keep on track about stuff.
But people don't do that.
Lines. And I think, actually, speaking of that, I think one of the biggest reason why it makes sense to hire you guys is because you're running a process.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of people who are going into it who have never done it before, they just assume that like, hey, I'm going to go to a conference and knee can't,
Yep.
and I'm going to meet a couple of investors. I'm going to ask them for money or something like that. And that's it. Where in reality, you've already outlined a bunch of different aspects of this thing that some of these things I've never even thought of. Right. So when it comes to like the first thing in a person who is looking to raise money, what do they do immediately? Do they go to make a deal room? Do they like with all their docs in it?
Okay, so the very first thing is this. It's a loaded question, and I'm not going to make this black and white. I'm going to make this gray. Okay. Either the first thing is one, what is the exit strategy for you, the business owner? Not the investor, but for you. Is your goal to have this company for the next 20 or 30 years? Is it to grow it and sell it within 5 to 7 years? Like I've had 15 plus companies. I purposely started some companies where I'm like, listen, this is a 3-year company. Hey, this is going to be a 7-year company. Like, I technically on paper have never had a company be more than 10 years old. Which I'm like, oh, like, which is kind of cool, but also like, I've never hit that 10-year mark. So that's the very first thing. The second thing is that literally figure out your 2-minute pitch. When I say your 2-minute pitch, like, hey, what are you doing? What's the problem you're solving? The money part we can get to later, but why now? One of the biggest issues is people don't understand why people should invest in them now. And that is one of the biggest reasons why investors do not close a deal, because you didn't show them why they need to give you money now. There is a technology company in cannabis, I won't say which one. They were adamant, and they were one of our clients. They did a great job of always telling the investor, here's the opportunity, here's when the window closes. We will have a 3-week variance on this window closing. Why? Because as per our company newsletter, we are growing. We're going to hit these KPIs. Once that happens, our valuation is going to be going up. We're going to be closing out and changing our minimum offering. Like your minimum offering start low and then raise and raise and raise and raise. Same exact thing. But that's what we tell people right off the bat. The next thing they need to start doing, ready for this, is actually, let's really back this up. The very first thing is get a company email address.
Oh.
Don't get a Gmail.
It's so funny because I do see some people throwing out Gmails and Yahoo.
Yeah, no one. Yeah,
I'm like
right off the bat, automatic yellow flag to an investor. Yeah. Secondly, get a 1-page landing page. It can just say coming soon. Right. All right. Third, if you're not proud to be in your business, then don't do it, because you should be able to talk about it on LinkedIn. Now, people say LinkedIn, Facebook, IG, which one should I do? TikTok? Listen. LinkedIn is business to business. It's also B2C. Most investors, the very first thing they're going to check out on you for due diligence is your LinkedIn. All right. So do LinkedIn. All right. It's not company page. It's your personal page.
Everything's personal.
Yeah. So literally those are the very first things you need to do. And by the way, either use your cell phone number, get a second cell phone number, or just get like a Google Voice number, get a phone number. I will tell you right now how many potential clients that we've tried to reach out to, and there's no phone number. And if I get hold of us, I'm like, I've been trying to get hold of you for 2 months. Like, all your emails went to like junk mail. I'm like, yeah, and I actually had someone for you to refer you to, but there's no phone number, so sorry. If you're like, well, I don't want to deal with phone calls or voicemails, I'm like, that's called laziness. Right. Like, we joke around like, hey, with your phone, before going on Instagram, if you can spend 5 minutes on Instagram, you can spend 5 minutes cleaning out your voicemail. Absolutely. Because one of the oldest tricks, and you've heard me say this to you, if your voicemail is full, there's a good chance an investor will not give you money.
Really?
Yep, because it means you are selfish. It means that you are, I won't say lazy, but pretty much you come across as selfish. It comes that you don't really care, okay? It shows that also, too, that at the end of the day, you can't take 5 minutes out of your day to empty your voicemail, okay? It also, an investor wants to sit here, they don't want to do 20 text messages or emails. And you know me, we teach all our clients the 3 text rule, the 3 email rule. Yep. It takes more than 3 emails or more than 3 texts, you pick up the phone, you call. And you know, you and I have had a couple text messages, and I just call you and you're like, hey, Doc, I can't really talk. I'm like, listen, I need 30 seconds. It's just, what's going on? And here's another fun trick, which we've been using a lot starting in 2024. The audio text message. Yeah. Like people are like, what? I'm like, you don't want to type a long thing out? Leave a 30-second message. Right. You will be amazed how many people.
I have to get better at that. because I often find myself in between. It's an in between because it's like a text message should be short and concise.
Yep.
And then a phone call is like, now it's a commitment because now I'm on the phone with somebody.
Yep.
So the in between would be a audio message.
Yeah, exactly.
I think makes a ton of sense, but I think even I have to get more comfortable doing those things because I'm either one or the other. And actually, one of the things that you probably are going to be admonishing me for is that I actually put the setting for my phone on, if I don't recognize this number, it doesn't even ring.
Yeah, a lot of people do that.
Only because like I would get so many people asking about, I'll get people calling me about grow lights still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, have you done any research on my company? Like, I don't grow anything. So I got so frustrated at one point. I was like, there's got to be a setting to turn off these unknown numbers. And so I set that on, and I'm definitely a much less stressful life now because of the fact I don't just get random spam phone calls.
I actually put on my voicemail, if you do not leave a voicemail message, you will not get a return phone call.
Exactly.
Like if you're like this one guy I do work with out of Hoboken, and he's a super connector. He loves it. He's like, dude, I love to send your message. He's like, I hate leaving voicemails, but I leave it just for you because I know you will not call me back. I'm like, yeah, I get so many missed phone calls a day. And, people joke around too. Like I'm part of all these different groups on Telegram and WhatsApp, stuff like that. People are like, why aren't you responding every day? I go, I book myself meetings. And that's something else we also teach our clients here. Like for like a conference tech, Nikan Boston's coming up. Book yourself 3 30-minute meetings and just do the recon work on who do you want to meet, who you want to talk to.
But those lists are interesting because sometimes you get spam about those lists too. Be like, hey, I'll send you the list. There's 5,000 attendees on this list.
All that's BS. All that's BS.
I know Mark, obviously, who runs Nikan, is very much just like, don't trust any of those companies. Like, who knows where those lists kind of thing. But how do you do recon for a Nikan? Because do you know the attendees? Not really. I guess you know the companies that are going.
So the recon work is on the speakers.
Speakers.
All right. The recon work is on the sponsors. All right. And then the recon work is on the booths.
Yeah.
Because then from there, and we have a client, I won't say which one, that's going to Nikan Boston coming up. They send us a list of 13 exhibitors and sponsors, and they ask us, "Do you know anyone at these people?" We first had a list, maybe 1 or 2 companies, but now what we're doing on our side at UCS Advisors, we're actually going to their company page to look at their employees to see who we know, so we can reach out to them. So let's use yourself, Jason. You don't know the attendees, this or that. Okay. So what you can do is now you can go see the booth vendors you want to talk to. Now you go to their company website and you see what employees are there. Now you can reach out to employees directly because you have an email ahead of time saying, hey, are you coming work in the booth? I'm going to have a booth too. I would love to see you and talk to you for 10 minutes. Right. Yes, it's a little more recon work. You go from there. Now, as someone who goes to a lot of conferences, at one point, you would take the conference list of people I wanted to meet with, let's say in 2023. I would then cross-reference if they're going to have a booth or be a speaker in 2024. If they were not, I'd reach out to them and say, hey, I see you're not speaking this year, or you're not having a booth this year. Right. Are you attending? Because if you are attending, I'm attending too, and I'd love to meet with you.
Got it.
And so these are, it takes work. It's recon.
Well, it depends on how valuable those leads are, right? It depends on the company.
Yep.
So it's like, from my perspective, and it's weird to say this, but like our booth is going to be primarily driven for buyers and consumers, right? Because we want to sell more into the market.
Yeah.
We want to introduce ourselves to more consumers. So from our perspective, we're just like, whoever shows up in a sense.
Yeah.
Because especially, this is one of the things that, Nikan is known for, is that a lot of the buyers will hide.
Yep.
They don't want to even know people, because you'll get, a new store opens, because there's not that many new stores are opening, but like 3 or 4 new stores open on the agenda, you'll see them come up. And I can only imagine 300 people emailing them that day, be like, hey, you're going to be at Nikan, because they're like a buyer for this new store that just opened, and it's like their inbox is now flooded. So from our perspective, if I was raising money, that'd be totally different.
Yeah.
And I guess we're kind of always raising. We kind of have a rolling raise. But if I was actively in the pursuit of, lots of, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to like raise, I think I would take the leads more seriously at that point. I'd be hunting down these things. Whereas right now I'm kind of just like, we're at a good spot. Like, we're good. So like, let's just get.
Yeah. And let's go back to capital raising for a second. Nikan. feel like there's not a lot of investors. This goes back to the potential investor resources I was saying, all right? Now let's take this another step further, okay? You know your investor profile. I know what you're doing. Do accounting firms represent people with money?
Yes.
Do lawyers represent people with money?
Yes.
Okay. And if you meet the founder or owner, such as yourself, do you think you might know a couple people? Yeah. So you're a potential investor resource. Yeah. The accounting firm is a lawyer firm. So people are like, oh, I don't want to talk to them. I'm like, no, it's getting to know them. Yeah. And then they're the ones that are the gatekeeper. Yeah. And like, let's use this another example. And let's go over, and this comes back to, I work with someone out of New Jersey, and I've known the guy for a while, but he now represents 15 plus banks that will invest in cannabis. But these banks hired this company to represent them.
Yeah. The
banks don't mention who they are, right, this and that. So that's the other thing is too, is that, and this goes back to also, remember I said about emotional intelligence and proper business etiquette? Too many people, and I'm going to pick on cannabis dramatically on this. I'm going to pick on New York, the Mid-Atlantic, and in particular, the New England region. Oh, you don't have money for me? Thanks. Have a good day. Bye. Versus cannabis clients in California, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, even Florida. Like, we're working with some great companies in Florida right now. Amazing. And they're like, hey, thank you so much for even talking to me. I appreciate it. Maybe, we can connect in 30 days. And I'll give you an update. The company, like, they're getting told by investors, but they're using it as an opportunity of, hey, I get it. No problem. It's not the right fit for right now. Do you have someone you can introduce me to? Or can we follow up? But in the Mid-Atlantic region, or tri-state region, New England, we get a lot of, nope, all right, fine, you're not the money to buy it. And I'm like, you realize all the investors talk to one another. And you realize we compare deal flow notes. Mm-hmm. And there's a company in New York City, actually two companies in New York City and one in New Jersey. Their pitch deck has come across our plate now 7 times. They won't hire us. These 3 companies, they're like, oh, we're not paying for that. We won't do that. We don't need any help. They've reached out to so many people. They're even offering 10% commission, which is whatever on that part. But I'm like, hey, this has come across my plate again. It's kind of like, I actually had to call this company in New York City and say, listen, you don't have to hire us, but your deck is getting shopped around to the fact that the minute people hear about your company name, they go, no, we've already seen it. It's like, yeah, but that was like 8 months ago. I'm like, doesn't make a difference. Yeah. You shopped it around so much. Yeah. So it's also having that proper etiquette of, hey, thank you for your time. Don't be, like we say about networking, don't be a time vampire. Right. And these are all, use common sense. Like, I'm not dropping like huge green nuggets here. Like, I'm dropping some very basic information, but this goes back to you being a business owner, man, and you being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is key. The common sense part makes a ton of sense to me now, because you're outlining very simple things that people can do to just get better at the process, without even having to hire you.
Yeah.
There's just basic things you need to do. And I find that translates really well to the actual staff and employees of the cannabis industry too, because what ends up happening is, when somebody leaves one company, they go to another cannabis company. They're not, for the most part, they're trying to stay inside cannabis. They're not necessarily leaving it. Right?
Yep.
So I know there's obviously a few people that are leaving, especially with the downturn in the market where there's layoffs happening and stuff like that. Of course, those people are going to leave. But the true diehard people who are like, I'm actually in cannabis for life and I want to go find that next job. All of a sudden, you had a really great conversation with a bud tender. 2 years from now they're the buyer for this store that you really want to get into.
Yep.
And it's like, you don't know where these people are going to go. So you have to always treat people with as much respect as you can. Without being that time suck.
Yeah, oh, exactly. And also, too, swallow your pride and admit when you screw up. Like, I have sometimes...
You have some bad stories?
I have screwed up many times.
Yeah. You got a story for that?
Oh, I do. It's actually a Nikan Boston story. It's great because he's a great client. He's an amazing client, but guy, New Yorker, thick accent. And long story short, he... the way he was talking to me, and I'm like, oh, this another guy, like, just show me the money, and I blew him off. I'm like, I got other people in the network, blew him off. And one of my other employees, who's no longer with me, he actually left the cannabis industry altogether. This is like circa 2019, all right? And so, yeah, his name was Ben, and he was an amazing human being, just a great number. Like, he's like, I will always be number 2, amazing number 2. So Ben's like, all right, I'll go talk to that guy. And Ben comes over like 45 minutes. I was like, dude, you got to go talk to this guy. I'm like, why? He goes, cannabis operator on the West Coast. owns companies in New York City, New Jersey. Yeah, like, and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, I went swallow my pride. I'm like, yeah, let's go out for some beers, buddy. Like, and he looked at me and like, and now we're really, really good friends, but we still joke around. He's like, dude, he's like, you blew me off. And I'm like, you're right. I'm like, I didn't follow my own lead. You're absolutely right with that. I mean, and this comes back to also networking. Let's talk about drinking and smoking. If you want to raise money, be careful where you're smoking, because there are investors everywhere and they notice that. All right. Be careful how much you drink. It is amazing. Like this past week, I attended Benzinga, and I didn't drink at all for the 2 days. And people are like, well, why aren't you drinking? And I'm like, well, I got stuff I got to do this. I'm meeting money people. I'm like, listen, I'm like there's a time and place for everything. People joke around. Wendy Campbell of MJ Unpacked, her and I go to a lot of events together. Whoever she doesn't know, I usually know, and vice versa. But like, people ask, how can you hit up 8 events in 3 hours and make it productive? People are like, you're moving to this. I'm like, no, we're both professional networkers. We plan. Like, we literally do a roadmap. We sit down and we go over what event we go for here. Like, and like, hey, who are we trying to meet at this party? Who are we trying to, like, we go on a mission. Our greatest story for networking is we did 11 events in 5 hours in Las Vegas.
Wow.
And we went 11 for 11. We both walked away with a solid lead or a solid referral or our new business at all 11 events. To do 11 events in Las Vegas on and off the strip in 5 hours. Like, that's still like, to even to me, I'm like, that's like the epic. You were going. Like, we had it so well planned out. And people joke around, like, well, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm like, well, that's fine. I go, but for me, oh, listen, there's only so long you say an event and keep smoking cannabis for. Absolutely. And people say that's where the real business is. And I go, I agree with you, except this. And I'm going to use NECAM Boston because it's 2 days. It's Friday, Saturday. All right. There's a private investor event going on in Boston that afternoon. I literally found about it. The reason I got invited because one of my buddies who's an investor is like, I'm allowed a +1. You should come with me to this. We both looked at each other and we're like, we're not drinking at all on Thursday because Friday is such a big day. We want to stay sharp. And then he joked around. I was like, what about the after parties on Friday? I'm like, no. I'm like, Saturday, there's other things we need to hit. And I joked around with him. He goes, well, there's one party supposed to be really, really good. And he's like, I'm going to go for 3 hours. I'm like, yeah, because you're not working the next day. And everyone you need to meet. And he's like, yeah, this is like my relaxing moment. I go, but if you're there to work, be mindful because this comes back to networking, like you were saying about wasting your time. Yep. Hey, Jason, I'm having a fun time hanging out with you at this event. I'm going to call it a night, bro. Do you want to follow up tomorrow? If you're like, nah, man, like, I'm leaving tomorrow. Can we stay for another 20 minutes right now? Sure, Jason, let's stay right now. Or, hey, follow up with me in 2 weeks. And this is where you have to use your words and communicate. Okay? And you have to ask the person you're talking to that you want to follow up with, when's a good time to follow up with you?
Right. That makes so much sense. Yeah, because I feel like there's, and especially in networking, this is one of the things I brought up to Mark is like some of the pet peeves I have about these conferences. And it's like, one of the things that I brought up in that podcast was, that previous episode, was that at some of these parties, people get handsy.
Oh.
It's like at certain time, it's like, I tell my team all the time, like it's 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Bunch of people they've been drinking maybe for like 3-4 hours at that point because they started at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Get out of there. Don't stay around. There's no business that's happening.
We had a female client in New York City get groped at a campus event, and she was floored. She called us crying and this and that, and we were like, what can we do to help you? So we actually contacted the event organizer and like said what happened. She knew who the person was, and then the person tried taking photos as well too. Like, it's just like, dude, like, it's like, and she was so petrified. We're like, listen, how about, and we literally, and she's still a client, and we told her point blank, just go to the female only events. So she will only go to the women only events now because that's what she feels safe. And I'm like, and I felt horrible. She's like, it's not your fault. She's like, I just didn't.
I feel horrible about those
like
too, because I remember it was at an event, this woman came up to me that I knew, and I'm obviously not going to say any names, that there was an incident, and she came to me like crying. And I'm like, I don't know what to do in this situation. And she's like, I think he's over there. I don't know where he is, but I'm scared now. And I'm just like, holy crap. Like, so we got the conference staff to come and go identify the person.
Yep.
Like that person got booted right away. And that was midday, right?
Oh yeah, I've
Never mind, like when you get to the party
Yep.
scene, and it's like everybody's, oh, there's going to be this big rapper is going to be on stage or something like that. We want to wait for the show, and it's like 10 p.m., 10:30, and I'm like, guys, it's not worth it. Just get out of there. Like, it's nothing good's going to happen.
Yeah, well, and this is also where you and I both been in the industry long enough. I'm like, listen, I met Mike Tyson. I got to meet him for the 20th time. I'm a Dolphins fan, though I grew up a Patriots fan. But like Ricky Williams, great. I met him numerous times. Like, hey, like, very nice guy. But I'm like, I'm not gonna put myself in a situation like, I remember when it was Mike Tyson and Ric Flair, and people like, oh, it's like 10 o'clock. I'm like, no, man, I'm tired, man. I'm calling it night. I'm like, what? Hey, like, verse. I tell people, what's cooler is to actually see them speak.
Yeah, and they spoke.
Yeah, it's like Benzinga Miami. Like I also like Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. He was at Benzinga Miami a couple of years ago. He was fascinating to watch. I didn't need to go hang out with him and have a drink or something like that. Like it was just awesome to hear him speak, ask him a question, very personable. And that's what I tell people, like, what are you going for? And then also too, this is the medical guy. I mean, cannabis dehydrates you and you're drinking. Think about that and think about that situation. And also something we teach all our clients, and we teach people this in our conference playbook, which I'll get you a copy of. And
we put a link to some of the stuff you talked about.
Yeah, definitely. Where I was going to go? Pick your conference goals ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to use Wendy Campbell again. The one reason why Wendy and I are so good when we go to networking events, we sit with each other, we compare, what are your goals for this conference? How can I help you? What are your goals? We're each other's accountability partners. And that's why when I see you, like, hey, Jason, like you were awesome. Like, hey, you're going to New Boston? Like, yeah, I'm not going to go to LA anymore. I'm going to go to the conference. Like, great. How can I help you? What should I be looking out for? So, but you as a leader, if you have a booth, you need to establish at least, my opinion, 5 goals for your team. And you can do individuals if you want, like, hey, you're in sales, you're in film, like you have the person here filming. Like I'm going to use when Chris Vaglo was doing work with me. Hey, we want to get 6 people to give a green nugget tip on video. Chris, can you please help handle that? You handle that, great. My goal is I want to meet these 18 vendors because they might have stuff. But pick your conference goals ahead of time. And here comes a little trick, ready? Part of your conference goals can include what you want to achieve at networking events. And a lot of people forget that. They only think about the conference. No. Like, exactly. And I'm gonna give a big shout out to Jay Verdi of Hub. Jay and Hub has done some great parties. I've had a blast. But here's the thing is though,
the one in Miami.
Yes.
Blue was there last year, and then it was but that hotel they had in Miami, that suite.
Oh, when they did one of the after parties in Vegas at the Paris. I still do business with 3 people now because of that event. So literally, like when he's having events, I'm like, hey, I'd like to go. I'm like, this is what I'm trying to get. So I literally will pick for that. I'm like, this is exactly who I'm trying to meet. And I'll reach out to the person hosting the event if I know them well and say, hey, this is who I'm trying to meet. There are other events going on. Should I still come to your event? And if anything, the organizer will say, hey, man, for what you're looking for, there's no one going to be here. Maybe you should miss my event so I can give your spot to someone else. And if anything, they thank you. And you get invited to another event.
So that transparency goes a long way because, again, it's about not wasting time either. It's like, if I'm going to be here, if there's an event that's happening for these 3 hours and I'm going to hop in for 30 minutes to an hour, I have to have an agenda. I have to know exactly what I'm going in for because otherwise I'm just wasting my time.
Yeah.
And potentially wasting the host's time because that ticket now could have, was used by you versus somebody else. So I exactly have to give them a lot of respect. And oftentimes I don't go to a lot of the events around for NECAN specifically, because my focus, one of the biggest focuses we have in the market right now, is to talk to more customers.
Yeah.
Because I need to know how they like the product. And we do research all the time. And I've actually taken over 30 phone calls.
Okay.
Calls with customers now.
Nice.
And I do it on a revolving basis. Sometimes I'll do like 20 real quick.
Everyone listening, he has heard that. That's called a beta test. So if you are doing something new in cannabis and you have no money, go reach out to 30 people and get some feedback.
Exactly. So we're already selling these people products and they love our products. And
Yep.
I put a for everybody listening, the simple trick is on your website, with your product pages, just throw a modal dialogue up, a little call out that says, hey, get a quick Zoom call. It doesn't have to be Zoom. Google Meet also has scheduling now, right? So you can actually go to Google Meet, have a scheduled 20-minute call, and they'll do it. And I was rewarding people. I was giving people $20 to show up because it's kind of like, I want them to actually show up for it. And I was asking all types of great questions, and it actually did change our product development because we were planning on releasing, all kinds of crazy products like 3,000 milligrams and all this other stuff and what people found was that was too much. And they realized only later, and I realized later, I was like, okay, change of plans. Let's not go down this path because it's just not worth it.
So what I like about your website is, and
our website's trash, by the way. But yes.
Okay.
Versus all
right. Well, where I'm going with this is
from
more.
design perspective.
Okay, but where I'm going with this is for your product is that a lot of people are afraid of tinctures.
Yes.
They're afraid of backspace, but you have more people in the 50s, 60s, 70s that want a tincture, that want something that they can literally put in a beverage. And as a physical therapist who's worked with a lot of geriatrics, even the geriatrics now, they're like, I just want to put something in my water or in my tea. Yeah. I don't want to smoke it. I don't want to take a gummy. I don't want about the sugar. Because that's the other thing is too, what's interesting about cannabis is, as a type 2 diabetic, and ironically, my type 2 diabetes came from 100% stress. Fun little fact. So stress.
That could happen.
Oh yeah, dude, it's intense, bro. Like, you want to get real for a second, man? Like, I became like a type 2 diabetic, and ironically, I did my first thesis on type 2 diabetic foot ulcers. And so
this happened during.
This happened in March 2020. I was on my way to Maine, going to meet with some cannabis clients. And my buddy and my softball, by the way, if anyone ever needs a pitcher for high arc softball, I throw 5 pitches. And I also throw a knuckleball in high arc softball. Everyone needs a pitcher. I'm here to help you out. But it's ironic. Physical therapist on the team, urologist on the team, plastic surgeon on the team, cardiologist on the team. It was just kind of funny. And the urologist like, hey, doc, like, why don't you come in, like, get your testosterone checked? I'm like, oh, okay. Finally go in, and he's like, hey, man, something didn't test right. Would you mind fasting for 12 hours and peeing a cup again? I'm like, yeah, I don't care, bro. Like, whatever. I'm like, you're going to charge me? He's like, nah, dude, just come on in.
Right.
He's like, hey, man, how you feeling? I'm like, all right. He's like, where you are right now? I'm like, oh, I'm driving. I'm on the Mass Pike heading to Maine right now. Why? What's up? He's like, do you feel okay? I'm like, yeah, why? He's like,
it's oily beer.
Let's just say, could you maybe, we ran the blood test. We wanted you, like, 8 blood tests. And he's like, your A1C is 15.1. It should be under like 7. He's like, your blood sugar is like 390. He's like, you are a ticking time bomb. But the way he first started off was, he goes, are you peeing a lot? I'm like, no. He's like, any pins or needles in your feet? I'm like, no. He's like, any cuts on your feet? I'm like, doc, I did my thesis on type 2 diabetic photos. I'm like, I'm not diabetic. He's like, no, you got type 2, buddy. And he's like, you shouldn't even be driving right now. I should have had like 2 strokes by now. And literally it was 100% stress because I don't eat pasta. I drink my liquor on the rocks. I drink my coffee black. I fast 12 hours a day. I worked out 6 days a week. Yeah, 100% stress.
That's amazing.
And so...
because you're at risk as a type 2 diabetic you could just low blood sugar and you're like swerving off the road kind of thing, potentially. Right?
Well, no, too high. Like, and you get so tired and so fatigued. And so what's interesting is, like, I love trying the different beverages, but I'm like, what's the sugar content? And half these beverage companies, their representatives don't know how much sugar's in there. I'm like, how can you have me?
Some of these things, they're more than soda. I've seen.
Oh, it's
45.
It's
like, I'm like, how could you?
And I'm a big fan of the beverages. I'm a huge fan, but it's like, hey, how much can I have? But like, the reason I'm saying that is that's also why I tell people about a little bit more about the work-life balance, the stress. Like you said, and here's a little trick. Oh, this works. Full circle. See, I'm bringing it back full circle to you. So you said you get really wound up and it's overload at the conferences. All right. So here's a trick we teach all our clients. Stop after, set your alarm for 2 hours to 3 hours. All right. And then what you're going to do is this. Either use the Calm app, use something on YouTube, whatever. Go sit down behind your booth or just walk outside the conference and just close your eyes for 3 to 4 minutes and do a quick meditation. Or if you do a mantra or an abundance, but like literally that's all you need to do for 3 to 4 minutes. So people ask me, dude, like you go from like 7 in the morning to 11 at night, you attend all these events, like you are a fucking machine. Sorry. You are a freaking machine. And I'm like, yeah, I go, but I'm like, what you don't know is I literally stop every 2 or 3 hours and go by myself in the corner for 3 to 4 minutes to regroup. I go outside and not to smoke weed or anything like that. I go outside for the natural sunlight. Yeah. Even if it's running outside, I will go outside literally just for 5 minutes just to stand in the sun. I'll sit here, pop in my AirPods, recharge, and people are like, why? I'm like, it's more effective for you to do that every 2 or 3 hours than it is to do it after 8 or 9 hours.
Yeah.
And
I see that. And I think that's one of my biggest problems with I don't get that recharge because I'm just at the booth standing for 8 hours straight until it closes. And then I'm like, I'm going home.
Well, this is also where you can tell you. So this is where you're lucky. You have a team, all right? So we tell our clients have a booth, listen, if you're the CEO and you're doing all the calls, you need to give your team your schedule, meaning like, hey, I will be at the booth from, in theory, 9 a.m. to 12. I will not be here from 12 to 12:30. I'll be here from 12:30 to 3:30. I won't be here from 3:30 to 4. And now your team knows your schedule. So like, where's Jason? Oh, I don't know when he's coming back. Nope.
I have a schedule.
So it's a once again, use common sense. It's a very simple trick where it protects you because at the end of the day, we need you on your A game both days in a row.
Yep.
Okay. And we need you to avoid burnout. And this goes back to the networking of you don't want a time vampire. And it's very, very polite, actually. This is an old networking trick where, and I do this all the time. Hey, we're all here to network, as I said before. Or if let's say you're really amped to meet me. You're like, oh my God, I want to meet you. I'm like, hey, listen, Jason, I want to meet you too. But I'm going to be very blunt with you. I have 10 minutes. I've literally set my alarm for my time for 10 minutes. Let's talk. And then let's follow up. If we can follow up again later today, we can. But at least let's get 10 minutes undivided attention. And if people go, oh no, I need more. That's all you give me. Go pound salt. I literally just told you I'm giving you 10 minutes of undivided attention. What do you want? My undivided or split? But that's something that can help you as well too. Set the parameter ahead of time.
Yeah. I always like to do that in advance.
Yeah.
Because you set it up front. What ends up happening is that expectation's built into the conversation now. And so you can just basically, all right, 10 minutes. Let's go.
Yeah.
How do you want to follow up from here? So maybe last question about this stuff, just for the health aspect of it. Standing for 8 hours, obviously taking breaks.
Yep.
Is that the one trick you'd recommend just so I don't blow my back out?
Okay. So I'm actually wearing my calf compression stockings as I've gotten older. Gosh, they're amazing.
Are they really?
So I've had some calf issues, strains here or there, but from the type 2 diabetes, meds, all that stuff, every so often I get a little swelling. So it's actually one of my old physical therapy employees who made a joke to me. He's like, why aren't you wearing the calf compression? I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. So each time I drive more than 2 hours, I wear them. If I'm standing like Benzinga this week, I was wearing them both days in a row.
Wow. Okay.
And people one, keeps you warmer. Secondly, it helps keep the compression going. All right. Thirdly, we're standing for your back. You got to stretch, bro. Stretch. I also tell people, if you're really going to be at your booth the entire time, bring your own mats, like the little foam mats. Yeah. When you go to a conference in Vegas, you can pay for the extra padded flooring. I don't know how the Haynes Convention Center works for that, so I cannot comment on that.
We
but
bring our own.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
yellow because that's one of our core colors of the company. And so if anybody at the Heinz Convention Center, if anybody at the Heinz wants to say, hey, that's not you have to buy our carpets or whatever. No, this is part of our brand. You can't take it away from us.
And that's also where too, though, that will help you a lot. The other thing is too, is that stretch out your hamstrings. Yeah. And
I do a lot of hamstring stretches.
And do you do a lot?
I do, but I think I do it too late. I think I went 4 or 5 hours.
Do you use the chirp at all? CHIRP?
I've heard that term. What is that?
It's a roller. I carry it everywhere I go where I travel, even when I go out to Vegas. I actually got them in my car right now. I actually did the chirp in the parking lot before I came in here. So it's a round circle. It was actually on Shark Tank. And it's a way to actually adjust your back and massage your back without going to someone. And there's 3 different sizes because stretching your hip flexors is also really important. Most people only stretch when you're standing. We tend to lean forward a lot, so your hip flexors tend to tighten up. So I'd also stretch out your hip flexors. Okay, but also more importantly, I look at the chirp.
Chirp. I gotta check that one out. Because the alternative was that we were going to hire a massage therapist to be at our booth, and then I'd just take all the hours.
Yeah, or dude, a foam roller, man. Even just bringing a foam roller.
Yeah, I remember some booths last year had a perfect massage.
Yeah,
the massage chair. I'm like, ooh, I want that for myself.
So I'll go to them, but I go them I go to them early. They're like, why early? I'm like, no offense. After they've done like 20 people in a row, I'm like, I go, you only wash your hands so many times. And being a medical guy, I'm like, you can massage me, like throw on the latex free gloves. It doesn't bother me. They're like, it's not the same thing. I'm like, no, like
It's fine. Yeah. But also, just they might get weaker over time too.
They do.
Really hit it as hard because it's been a long day potentially for our hands.
But yeah, I would check out the Chirp if I were you. Great product. I keep.
Actually, do you want to shout out any potential companies or products or anything like that? As we're trying to wrap.
Well, we want to obviously give a shout out to Good Feels. Keep up the great work, and it's great seeing your journey. And thank you for letting me be part of your journey as well too. I would obviously just want to give a quick shout out to my PIN, PMA, which does not stand for Portland Museum of Arts, where I'm in Portland, Maine. It does not stand for the Pharmaceutical Medical Association, which went out of business, I guess, in the late 1980s. But I sat next to someone at a networking event, and they called it out. And the guy's like, I'm 78 years old, son. I don't know how old you are, but how are you alive for that association? I'm like, what are you talking about? But what we do here at UCS Advisors is we teach positive mental attitude. Raising money can suck. You're going to get told a lot of no's. Statistically speaking, you're going to get told 97 no's out of every 100 people you talk to. Statistically. Where we do is we teach a lot of positive mental attitude, and part of our job is to show you the silver lining, the positive thing. In terms of companies per se, it would be a disrespect not to include everyone, and I want to be fair, but I will say is that when it comes to cannabis or non-cannabis companies, you want to learn from each other, just reach out to us at ucsgreatness.com. And I know you're going to post this stuff, but that is really what it comes down to. It's always okay to call and ask for a question. It's always okay to email and ask a question. We have clients from blockchain, AI, to movies, to hotel resorts, to a 420 hotel, to a company in Connecticut that's called, I'll give them a shout out, and you probably know them, Get Soft Landing.
I know that.
Yeah, so they're a new company, up and coming. Great product in what they're doing, and they're in the process of doing their beta test and getting more people. And they also got some really cool medical people on their team. They're New England based. In general, I will also say that here in New England, particularly, is that there's a lot of great companies, and overall, I wish everyone success. Pigs eat, hogs get slaughtered, if you ever heard that term.
Yes.
And also, too, there's plenty of fish in the sea, so why can't we all be successful together? And with that being said, we've worked with numerous companies in New England. We've helped numerous companies get funding in New England. We have numerous companies that keep us on as advisors. But for individual shout-outs, I'm going to be respectful, and I'm going to give the shout-out to you, and shout-out to Get Soft Landing, because they're a great pre-revenue company. They should be checking out, and people should be on the lookout for.
Appreciate that. Yeah, and the positive mental attitude, I think, can go a long way, PMA. And I do feel like, if you have that positive mental attitude, it'll add to your bank account.
Yeah.
It'll come. You just have to keep on going.
And I will say one more. All right.
Shoot.
And this is for every operator in cannabis, because this is going to hit the fan next year. There is a company they're publicly traded, called GMGZ. Okay. So Go, Mary, Go, Zebra. Genuine Marketing Group. They have a company called ZipTag. I am not going to do the justice, but the FDA has already enforced in 2026 that everything that it goes in, like in this can, will have a QR code, so we can track to make sure what you have is what you have. Because here's a disgusting fact here about our grocery stores in the United States. 1 out of every 10 products that we buy is either expired, there's a problem with it, or it's not really what it says it is. 1 out of every 10 products we buy. So the FDA is going to require this. Our client was just at a national agriculture conference. One of their press releases was picked up by the NASDAQ, and they have the technology, and they're doing work in cannabis, because every cannabis operator is going to need this. Yeah. Edibles, beverages, and to really make sure you're ingesting what you're supposed to be ingesting. So big shout out, because this is a nationwide company. Great team, great experience, awesome, amazing backstory about how the one guy got super sick in China because he had vodka that wasn't really vodka, and he almost died. Yeah. And to see how much of a problem we have here in the United States. Great example, I went to Trader Joe's recently, got some mozzarella cheese shredded. It was completely moldy inside.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, like a gallon of milk expires in 2 days. It just doesn't make sense. But that company is GMGZ. I would check them out, especially if you are a cannabis operator. You're going to need a company like this.
I mean, that hit the nail on the head there, because I've heard of some recent horror stories, and, even my own experience of like, I'll get my groceries delivered sometimes, and the grocery store, maybe they didn't do a good job checking of what's been expired.
Yep.
But the DoorDash or whatever will just grab, the yogurt off the shelf, and I get it. I'm like, it's expired. Like, and I'm just getting it because I was too lazy to go to the store.
Yep.
Busy or whatever. And then I heard this other thing really recently, which I didn't realize, about protein powder. So the big controversy of protein powder, and some companies have taken against that.
Yeah.
Protein powder. You can't technically test protein very, very straightforward. What they do instead is they test nitrogen levels. So you can kind of fake nitrogen levels.
Yep.
So if you say like, hey, there's 30 grams of protein per serving, well, there may not be actually 30 grams of protein because they added a bunch of things that produce nitrogen. So the tests say that it's 30 grams of protein, but it's not actually zero protein.
I'm only laughing because a lot of people forget my big break in the cannabis industry was cannabis testing labs in Las Vegas. I was one of the first original 6 or 7 labs in Denver, Colorado, and Portland, Oregon. So I had testing labs. And we used to have clients, growers, come to us in Colorado and say, if you don't give me this much THC level, I won't come back here.
Using it.
I'm not exactly. So the whole protein powder things.
It's happening in Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting that happens, and that's why I wanted to bring up Zip Tag and the company GMGZ, because this is one of the reasons why you also work for a capital raising advisor, because it's more just capital raising. It's our job to figure out for your company to also help you with those pitfalls that might come down the road. And there's no thing about
2026?
Yeah.
We're in the first quarter of 2025 still, and it's 2026 when this all falls.
It happens in Q1 of 2026.
So a year from now.
Less than that, yeah.
Is everybody's going to come with their strategies and game plans. I mean, you've shed so much light on lots of different subjects today. You've given us such great nuggets of information here.
Dr. David's Green Nugget Advisory Tips, baby, or GNATs.
Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your GNuts with us. So that's the pod, I think.
I love it, man. Hey, and once again, thank you. Congratulations to you. And really quick, big shout out to the old school phone I noticed. Reminds me of my grandmother's house in Brockton, Massachusetts. She had that bad boy for a very long time.
I might have installed it. He worked for Verizon, or back in then it was 9X.
Okay.
Back when all the baby bells happened in the 70s or whatever. My dad worked for the phone company for, he's one of those lifers, like 30 plus years in the phone company.
Yeah.
And so he still gets a kick out of giving me all kinds of...
Dude, I think it's great, man. That's vintage right there, brother. That is vintage, man. Well, I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing you continue to succeed in your journey. And for all the viewers out there and all the listeners, make sure you check out Good Feels, check out what they're doing. And by the way, pay it forward, man. If you have a contact that can help him out and vice versa, that's what it's all about. We're all in this together. So let's help each other out, man.
We are in this together. Thank you so much, Dr. David.
You got it, man. Big